those that don't know, my name is Mr. Dr. Ray, student teacher, the master teacher, here to offer my level of understanding to you all. If you had any questions, we could start there.
Who is God?
Who is God? Well, when you talk about God as that figure that's taught to us in religion, the true essence of who and what God is an omnipotent force that manifests on the physical plane is natural nature. So when you talk about God, you're talking about a force that exists in all places, everywhere at the same time. This is omnipotent force. Now, right now we exist on the physical plane, the terrestrial plane, on planet Earth. God, that omnipotent force, manifests itself as natural nature here. We know that because everything you need as a human is in nature. The food, the water, the nourishment, the air, vitality, everything you need is given to you by way of nature. So nature is a manifestation, a physical manifestation of God. And we know that when a child comes into the world, everything that child needs, the mother has. That's why we attribute the black woman as God. And we say that the black woman is also God. Because if you want to personify natural nature, that's the woman. Because the woman has nourishment, everything needed for the child. Even when you get into the science of the breast milk, certain colostrum fluids inside the breast milk help the child to grow, helps the baby's neurological makeup, things of that nature. So the black woman will be the closest personification to God. Natural nature would be the ultimate physical personification of God. And when you talk about it from the astral plane and all those things, this is an omnipotent force that exists everywhere at all times. Does that answer the question for you?
What is the major duty for a man to provide for his woman?
What is the major duty for him to provide for his woman? You kind of answered the question.
I'm asking.
You gave the answer in the question.
Well, you can provide on many different levels. Sometimes you can provide security, love, money.
Right. Well, the thing about that is, everybody has a purpose. Everybody's here for a reason. You have to use what it is God or natural nature gave you as a man to provide for your family. I mean, there's certain things that just, go like protection, defense. But when it comes to bringing in finances, generating income, you have to rely on that that is within yourself, your own being, to go out and provide for your family. See what I'm saying? Because everybody has a different skill, everybody has a different talent, everybody has a different ability. So my way of provision or my way of providing for my family may not be your way. Your way might not be my way. See what I'm saying? So, like I say, everybody has been endowed with something from natural nature, who the religious world calls God. Nature brought you forth with a certain gift, a certain talent, a certain skill, a certain mind state. And it is up to you. Your obligation is to find that inside of you. And once you find that, you use it to bring forth food, shelter, and clothing. Any other questions?
What do you think about the people in Flint who have bad water? And why do you think that happened in that area when Michigan has probably the best water in this area? How does Flint have bad water?
I feel like anytime you got contaminated water coming to people on a planet that's 75% water, and the process that it takes to cleanse water is so simple. Whenever you have a whole city with contaminated water and it's not treated as a national crisis, I believe that that's a form of biological warfare, meaning that this is purposely done, it's intentional, they're aware of it, they know what they're doing, and it's a form of war against the residents in Flint, Michigan. And I believe that what you see happening in Flint is a microcosm to the macrocosm, which is going to happen all over the world. I know a brother in the military that said that they have certain stations around Detroit, and that they're able to contaminate the water with, and they're just waiting to pull the plug or to press that button to infiltrate that tactic, that state of warfare. So this is a biological warfare by our government, but not really the government, because the government is a puppet for the greater force behind it. So what's going on in Flint is what you'll soon see go on around the world. And a lot of things that people don't realize is Flint has been like this for about 5 years now. It's just now becoming out to the public because it's gotten a little worse, but it's always been that way in Flint. So I believe that that's a form of biological warfare by our government, or the hidden hand behind the government. So it's not a mistake. It was not a mistake that happened. Like I say, the earth is 75% water, and the process that it takes to cleanse water is so simple. So why is that still an issue? But the question is, how do we fix it? How do we fight against the government that's purposely doing that? And that's what we need to come together to figure out. And these are the issues that come up when we don't try to own land, when we don't try to own that of which we operate on. Just think about your house. You have an electric bill, a light bill, a gas bill, a water bill. You're paying all these bills, but you were never taught how to extract these natural resources from the planet Earth itself. Here. But when we were in Africa, that was a part of our education. That was a part of our upbringing. We were taught how to cultivate land and use the land to sustain a household. But over here, we're not taught that. We put all our trust into the system to provide us with our water, to provide us with our electricity. So if the water shuts out in your home, you have to go to another man to ask him to get it turned on. Yeah, you work for the money to get it turned on, but you don't know how to turn it on. So this is one of the issues with black people and just people in general being complacent with the system. And this is, one of the problems that can come from that. But it's a tragedy because 10 people have died, and I got family up in Flint, So it's really just a matter of us coming together and figuring out what we need to do. All back.
In this day and time, we have children coming along. My son is 3.
Mm-hmm.
He just brought children in. This is his child. I remember her growing up. What should we be teaching them in this time, as crazy as it is right now? What should we be teaching?
Knowledge of self. Like I say, time. The word you mentioned is time. What time are we in? We are in what is referred to as the Aquarian Age. But Master Teacher told us that it's really the age of Sirius, because Sirius is symbolic of the water also. So when you pour water on a thing, you nourish it and it grows. The Aquarian Age is that age where we get back to right knowledge. We get back to who we were before we were stripped of right knowledge in that lunar cycle, 6,000 years of deception. So we're getting back into that. So these children are at an advantage because they're growing, they're being born into the sun cycle in this Aquarian Age. And we have the right knowledge to give to them, and they're able to get it from birth. So they don't have to be given that mental disease of religion. You even have some Christians and Muslims who know the truth within their religion, and they're teaching their religion a certain way to their children. So that also is beneficial. So when it comes to what should we be teaching the children, we need to give the children right knowledge. Because nature is on our side, because it's that day and age, the Aquarian Age, for awareness to come about. And a lot of these children are what is referred to as indigo children, or golden children, meaning that they are reincarnations of gods coming back in this sun cycle. So you're dealing with a young God right there. So you got to give that God, that young God, the right information to train him and cultivate him to grow and to be the God that he is, or was born, incarnated on this planet to be. That's why children are so advanced to this day. You know, how they use technology. They use technology better than us, some of them. You know, you play the video game, they beating us in the video game. They're born into this technological era because it's them that have reincarnated these guys, these so-called indigo children or the golden children, whatever you want to call them. So right knowledge is the best thing to give them right now. That's what we should be teaching our children.
What do you think about Brother Polite and how he teaches?
From what, like, just in general?
Just in general answer.
The thing about Brother Polite is, we can condemn him for leaving us, but at the end of the day, if somebody's meant to do a certain thing in their life, then that's what they're meant to do, and they'll be successful at it. Brother Polite has been very successful with New Covenant, so it's more than obvious that that's what he was meant to do, and the master teacher was something that helped him do that. Brother Polite isn't the only brother who the master teacher helped. There's a lot of people out here doing their thing that started off with the master teacher. So I don't think we should point the finger at Brother Polite and condemn him for leaving us, because maybe that was his thing. That's his mission in life, to do what he's doing. I do disagree with some of the debates, some of them, because it's like, okay, our enemy is looking at us and he's, you know, at ease because we debate each other and we're not really trying to attack his system. We spending a lot of our energy on debating each other. And that takes energy. It takes time to say, I'm going to debate this black man 3 months from now. So now I got to go home, I got to do all this research, I got to do all this study and all this stuff. And all you're doing is debating another brother, when you could put all that energy into something to go against white supremacy. See what I'm saying? So debating your own people kind of diverts your energy, and it's useless. You're never going to get an end result to the debate. Now the thing about it is, like I say, the Aquarian Age, black people, we were the first Muslims, we were the first Jews, we was the first Hebrews, we was the first Christians, we were Nuwaupians. So if somebody comes into the earth or comes into this world drawn towards Islam, that's because they're having that DNA explosion that's connected to who they were in their past lives. That's why you see black people being all these different groups. So if I'm debating you about Hebrew Israelite, that's right. You say no, Islam is right. You say no, Judaism is right. That's an argument that's never going to end, because all that's right, we were all those things. See what I'm saying? Just like they had an evolutionary conference, or they had a thing about evolution or creation. Were we evolved or were we created? That's a dead argument, because it's both. You can't have nothing evolve without it first being created. And nothing be created without it evolving. So I think that the debates that some of the brothers are doing is useless and it's a waste of time. But all in all, I believe that balancement is key. And I can say that Brother Polite, in my opinion, has balance. Because even though he does debate, he has several businesses, and he's traveling across the country, raising our people, giving lectures, doing that, doing that thing. So it's like, even though he debates, he still has the balancement of entrepreneurship and teaching and everything else. There's some people that all they do is debate, and they don't have the businesses and the infrastructure in the nation. Polite New Covenant is technically a nation. They have their own language, they have their own dress code, all those things.
Dr. Umar Johnson, how do you, being a brother, I know, as a Nuwaupian, per se, your mother and your father has a lot to do with what you signed with. Dr. Umar Johnson, American, now is Leo. I'm a Leo. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to figure out, with Dr. Umar Johnson, how do you feel about everything that's going on? Talk about the stripper. I think that was just mediocre, but just him as an individual and his plan. How do you feel about that?
The things that Dr. Umar Johnson is doing right now, nobody else is doing. I consider Dr. Umar Johnson to be a frontline soldier because he's going head up with white supremacy, because white supremacy understands that we need to get these children. We need to invest the children's mind, which means we attack the schools. Dr. Umar Johnson is realizing that, and he's the only one we have out of our community, the black conscious community, who's actually fighting against that, fighting against the children. Because it's so sad when you think about how they use ADHD and all these mental illnesses as a business. The child has ADHD. They're not thinking, I want to heal this child. They're thinking, I want to use this child, put him in this program to get money from the government. Right. Dr. Umar Johnson is the only one that's being vocal about that. And he's going to these schools and fighting to get that eradicated, the whole system eradicated. All the way up until the point where he's trying to build his own school, his own facility to bring in the boys and do it himself. So I believe that Dr. Umar Johnson is a frontline soldier, and what he's doing, nobody else is doing right now. And that's his role. As far as the conscious stripper, the fact that this happened is kind of proof of who he is, because there's always going to be a scandal to a brother that's really making moves out there. And it's obvious that she was an agent, and it's obvious that this was a conspiracy for the brother. So, like I say, it's always going to, you look at Martin Luther King, you look at Elijah Muhammad, you look at Marcus Garvey, all these leaders, there was always a scandal that came out when they really started to make moves in the community. So Dr. Umar Johnson getting closer to reaching this goal of building this school, which would completely uproot white supremacy from that aspect of children. Now you have this scandal come about with this system. So it's kind of proof of who he is because of the attacks that was made against him. So we support Dr. Umar Johnson 100%. And like I say, what he's doing, nobody else is doing right now. And we need him. Because it's messed up how they treat the kids that got these mental illnesses, mental diseases. They're just trying to get money from them. And we need somebody with facts to expose it. Even when you get into the SAT and the ACT and how it's, racially biased and where did it come from? It has its roots in Nazi Germany, all that stuff, he's revealing all of that. So yeah, I support Dr. Umar Johnson. Any other questions?
What about music? I noticed that, I even catch myself listening to it, and I'm still training a lot of my basketball players, kids, and I always tell them that I listen to it with a note-taking type of thing. I listen to the lyrics and the punchlines. Drake is one of my favorite rappers. I like Drake. I like his punchlines. So, what do you think about music? And I was pointing out to a kid who worked out in bench press early in the day, and I said, it's funny because I grabbed one of the brochures in the front, and I said, you hear how Drake is always representing 6? I was riding through this area with my 666, and I was showing them, that the opposite of that, on a simple level, was 9. I said, you just look at it, you ain't even got what's the opposite? Just look at it. 6 turned upside down. I didn't go into no deep details about it. What do you think this music is doing to our youth, and how can we correct that?
The biggest thing when it comes to the effect that music has is the subconscious mind. This is a message given to you that you receive on a subconscious level. So if I say a certain thing in a rap lyric, that resonates with you, because the radiant energy that's coming from the frequency of the tone becomes chemical, which means it becomes a part of your chemical makeup. And this is part of your brain function, brain activity. And it becomes subconscious until it becomes conscious. Sometimes it stays on the subconscious level, so you begin to act out the lyrics that you hear. Sometimes, you're not a bad person, but you may listen to that type of music, so you're going to always be in a state of conflict with yourself. You're always going to be having thoughts that you have to shut down. You're always going to be compromised in situations where you have to have that mental war with yourself, which makes it harder for you to function as an agreeable person, as a Nuwaupian. So the subconscious message that's in the lyrics is the biggest issue. And A lot of these mainstream rappers don't write their own lyrics. The lyrics is coming from another source, and it's passed down because this is all agenda. Remember, the so-called Illuminati is in control of the industry. And this is Euro-Masonic satanic forces that know the effect of music, how it can be used as sorcery, and how it can be used as a form of a spell. So once it resonates on your subconscious mind, it has the ability to control you, and control your thinking, and have people vibrate on a certain frequency. Which is why in the clubs, they turn the lights off, they get the flickering light, red light, and they have the speakers that's this tall, and it's permeating through your whole being. So when you go to the club, if you're not intoxicated and you're looking at it through your third eye, you see a group full of demons just walking around, intoxicated, mesmerized, on their own frequency. This is the whole plan of the music. And you have certain rituals that's done. This is actual fact. You have rituals that's done with these certain artists, with these certain singers, so that they can attract demons from the other side, or the outside realm, as the master teacher explained. You have the inner realm, which is what's physical, and you have the outer realm, which is where the spirit beings that's trapped on this planet dwell. And their only goal or mission is to seek other bodies to possess. So that's why when you're drunk or intoxicated, these spirits come into you for a split second, and you do something that's out of your mind, out of your nature. Sometimes they stay inside you all night, and you wake up not knowing what you did. Somebody has to tell you what you did last night because you were so drunk and intoxicated. That's because once you vibrate on their level, your frequency is conducive to their frequency, and they can come inside of you for that split moment in time, because they are beings from the outside or the outer realm. This is all in the mind's eye in Patarak. The master teacher broke it down. So the people who are behind the industry, behind the record industry, they know this science. So they have these, they have certain rituals that they give the Drakes or the Rihannas, and it calls on the possession. And you can hear it in the music. I don't know if you heard Rihanna's Disturbia, but she kind of breaks down that process of how the demon can come inside of you. Even Young Jeezy, Lose My Mind. The same thing. You always find these demonic videos with these demonic lyrics. And where did demons come from? This is hip hop. We didn't start off with demons, talking about demons and sorcery and all this stuff, so you have to ask yourself where it come from. Now, they know that if the spirit is inside of me, and I go in the studio and I record by way of tones, the spirit can be inside the person who's listening to it. So if I'm listening to a song made by somebody who was possessed by a demon, that makes me more susceptible for possession by way of the tone, because the tones is what's powerful. So to answer your question, when it comes to the music, you have to realize the subconscious activity that takes place. It's hard sometimes because it's good sounding music. The music sounds good, and it makes you move. We black people, we vibrate, we move to music, we rhythm, we flow. That's what we do. That's why it's so difficult not to listen to it. Even if you say, I'm gonna change this lyric in my mind when that come up, I ain't gonna think that, I'm gonna think this. That's, an effective practice, but like I say, you're always going to be hit with that war in your mind where you compromise and saying, I want to hit him, but I know that's wrong, I ain't gonna hit him. And you always gonna be, in that mental war with yourself, because you was listening to the lyrics that say hit him. You was listening to that lyrics that say shoot him, rob him, do that stuff. But that's not you as a person. So the music is important, and we shouldn't listen to this mainstream music that's out here. I'm not perfect, Some of the music I listen to isn't right and exact, but I realize that it's something that I shouldn't be doing, and I'm slowly but surely getting myself away from it. So, yeah, music is important. Any other questions?
Which is more important, the art of sex or the science of sex?
Science.
And why?
Because science comes first, and then anything. You can't have a thing without having the science of the thing, because that's the actual makeup of a thing. The art of sex technically is the science of sex. When you get into the science of sex, you have to realize that the female is gaining, but the man is losing. the man gives up a part of himself for the female to gain a part of herself through her orgasm. The orgasm has the power to raise the frequency of the female. That's why when the female has her orgasm, she feels the energy surge from the root chakra all the way up into the crown chakra, all the way through the spine, the kundalini. But the man has to give up a part of himself through his semen to energize that female by way of the orgasm. The orgasm has the power to put the female on another mental frequency. And the master teacher says she actually begins to look at the world differently. Now, there is ways that a man can practice semen retention, which is not ejaculating, even though he is still going through the act of sex with his woman. And I believe that's taught in the breath book, because it deals with the breathing.